All right, here we are fresh back from Florida for the second round in Florida. The first one, we won at the St. Johns River. Amazing week. We gave you that Elite Tools a little bit ago. But here we are for the HarrisChain. Not near as good of a tournament for me on the results side. I ended up 76th place. Boo. Boo, 76th place. In all seriousness, I feel like I fished well, made a bunch of adjustments, caught fish on a bunch of different baits. So I think you might be able to learn a little bit from this video, because I was struggling. You know, it wasn't, every adjustment that I made wasn't working. So I had to really continue to make adjustments and try to catch all I could. That first day did a little bit better, had 13-10. The first day I started out in a crowd and I threw two different baits. The first one I caught a couple nice keepers actually, on the 1/2 ounce jackhammer chatterbait, white with the missile baits Shockwave 3.5 on the back. That is really kind of my go-to under low light conditions or slightly dirty water, and that's kind of what we had out there. I caught two on that around some hydrilla. I was throwing that on 20-pound Sunline Sniper, and the same rod that I was throwing at the St. John's, the chatterbait rod from Cashin. I blew this up towards the end of the day. Sorry, whoopsie. But that's a Daiwa Tatula Elite 7-to-1. I like that little faster reel because a lot of times they'll hit it and knock slack in it, and you've really got to be able to reel fast and catch up to them. So that was my setup on that chatterbait. It caught a couple there. Wind wasn't blowing too hard early, and I thought I was going to have to kind of finesse them. And so, me being Mr. Smarty Pants, I pulled out the missile baits Ned Bomb with a 16th ounce Ned ball head with that little VMC tech set hook on there. Had that on a 10-pound Sunline Sniper leader, and that was going to Sunline X Plasma 12-pound on this setup right here. This is one of my old school Cashin rods, 7.3 medium action. A lot of times I'll throw it on the micro jig rod. I had something else on the micro jig rod. And this was the Daiwa Tatula LT 2500 reel. That was the setup for that. I caught two fish. One of them was like a 3.5 that I caught on that. Threw that around some more. I got stuck on 4 fish for a little while, and then I finally caught my 5th one because once the sun kind of got up a little bit and it got a little bit brighter, I switched to the 3/8. This was the Golden Shiner color, and I had that's a baby bass, Shockwave baby 3.5 baby bass color, but that Golden Shiner color is real pretty. I like it. You know, that gold blade, I think, gives a little different flash, especially when the sun is out in Florida. I think I caught my 5th one on that. Called a couple times. I felt like I was stuck on 12.5 pounds. Had a couple smaller ones. Had a couple under 2 pounds that I know that if I called, things would go a little bit better. So when I was stuck on 12 pounds, I left and went and where I had a couple quality bites. The only places I had quality bites in practice, over in Eustis, actually, in some lily pads. Pulled out the Missile Baits Quiver, 6.5 June bug, 1/4 ounce weight, 20-pound Sunline shooter. Should sound familiar. Caught a big one on that at the St. John's. Exact same setup. I did not change a thing. 20-pound Sunline shooter. Had that on a 7.6 medium heavy Cashin Icon flipping stick. High speed Daiwa Tatula 100 reel. Flipped that around. I lost one, probably about 2.5 right off the bat. Said okay. I settled down, caught a small one. Then I caught one that was probably 2.5 or so. Called, helped out a little bit. Then I caught a couple more small ones. Never got that real big bite that I was looking for. Left out of there and went bed fishing. Went looking for some fish on beds. I had nothing really to go on. I just went to an area that I saw a bunch of males. I figured that they were going to be moving in. Went in there and I looked and looked and looked and looked and looked and looked. Didn't see anything that excited me. I saw a few fish, a few bigger fish, you know, swimming around, you know, like in the 3 pound, 4 pound range, but nothing was locked on a bed. A lot of boat traffic in there. And then I stumbled on one like 6 pounds. I thought, okay, here we go. Now we're talking. That 6 pounder was not on a bed. It was just kind of loafing around. It was nowhere to be seen. It left and spooked around. But then while I was looking for that one, I saw one that looked like it would help. It looked like it was in the 3 pound range. And remember, I have one more fish under 2 pounds, slightly under 2 pounds. Saw that fish. Took me a little while to working on it. I was throwing, I mean, everything under the sun. Baby D-bomb, my go-to. Baby D-bomb, you know, the fish was looking at it, wouldn't do anything. I broke out the Missile Baits Destroyer, 1/2 ounce weight, 5/0 Gamakatsu, heavy cover worm hook, 25 pound shooter. It's just like this, but with a 2.5 on it. 25 pound sunline shooter, heavy action cash, and this is one of my OGs. Cash and flip and stick, heavy action, high speed Daiwa Tatula 100, and it started to get a little more responsive to that bigger bait, and so what I did was I actually was working it a little bit, and I was like, I told my marshal, I said, man, I just need to settle down. Our cameraman, I need to settle down. I pitched that destroyer in there, got out on the front deck and just let it sit. Probably sat in there for 20 plus seconds. So I'm not looking at the fish, not looking at everything. And all of a sudden I felt thunk. And then I lifted up and I could feel that fish swimming with it. I set the hook, swung the fish in the boat. It was a 3 pounder. I called up over a pound. That gave me 13.10. Fished a pretty clean day. I didn't see anything else the rest of that day. I caught 2 more on a prop bait. Neither one of them helped me. They were right around 2 pounds. Neither one of those fish helped me. I thought that was a good way to catch a real big one. Didn't happen. I felt okay just outside of the cut after day 1. I needed to do a little bit better on day 2. Went back to that area, and I was really sucking on the second day. In the first hour and a half, I caught 1 keeper, small keeper on this on the 1/2 ounce jackhammer. I was rotating through the golden shiner. I went to black and blue. I started throwing a crankbait. I was throwing a trap. I threw the Ned rig a lot and couldn't get bit. I was throwing a Zoom fluke. What else? I threw a speed worm. I threw a drop shot for a while. I threw the kitchen sink at them. So after about 2 hours, I went to the bank, caught a 1.5 pounder, 1 3/4 pounds. And then I went and found Ed Lochran, my buddy, my roommate. And I saw him down the way and I went down and checked. I said, man, what is going on? He said, man, I've got 1. And I said, man, you may want to, I just watched Ike and Ellie catch a bunch of fish on a flat side. So I was throwing the Little John. He didn't have any Little Johns in the boat. I gave him a couple Little Johns. And right after I gave him those, I caught my 3rd keeper. And so this is, you know, still like noon, almost noon. And I only had 3 keepers in the boat, and I had tried everything from what I could tell. So I dropped back and backed up. I said, man, I'm gonna go catch me a limit. Went into this canal system that I'd gotten some smaller bites in. Again, if you saw the St. Johns River, you saw we're working on a new bait, and this is another color sample. It's called Green Pumpkin Money. That's all you're gonna get of it. Called Green Pumpkin Money. That was what I was pitching around on a drop shot. This is the setup I was using. This was the hook, the same hook that I was using at the St. John's. It's the 2/0 Gamakatsu G Finesse worm hook. It's a drop shot hook. It's got that little tin keeper on it. It is it's super slick, and then had just a little. I think it was an 1/8 ounce weight, or maybe a little bit smaller than an 1/8 ounce weight. Again, the 10 pound sniper leader, about a 20-foot leader, to that Sunline X Plasma 12 pound. And then I had that, of course, on the Icon John Cruz drop shot rod 7.4. That's my go-to for, power drop shot fishing and for you know, the finesse drop shot. It's got that light tip. Daiwa Ballistic LT 2500 reel. That was really the setup. I went in there within 20 minutes. I had 3 keepers. I actually called once. I just kind of started fishing around in there. Called one, called a couple more times, and then I said, man, this is it. At about that time, I said, this is it. Let's go somewhere else. I looked and I saw a big giant bedfish, about a 6-pounder, minimum 5, probably 6 or slightly better. Big long fish. It was hard to see. I messed with that fish for a little bit. It picked up the destroyer and moved it twice. You know, set the hook both times, and it never got hooked. So I think it was just picking up the tails, which is rare. Usually those big ones in those darker canals that are hard to see, man, they just eat it. So I pitched that worm. I pitched old Wormy in there, and first pitch in there with that drop shot, I reeled up, and that fish had it in her mouth. I leaned back, and this huge boil came up. Bait came off, or so I thought. I reeled up, and it had bit right behind the hook and had this much in its mouth. And that's all I came back with, was just that little nub right there. It bit right behind the hook. I threw up in my mouth a little bit, but it was okay. I swallowed it back down, and that fish spooked. I thought the fish would come right back. I left, came back 20 minutes later, no signs of the fish. It just spooked something, you know. So I'm sure that fish went back on the bed at some point, but it spooked. I didn't have time to keep playing with it, and very disappointing there. I went out and tried some more stuff in that grass. Nothing. Had like 5 minutes to go, and I went over near the boat ramp, blew that reel up. That was cool. Not really. But then I picked up the old green pumpkin 3/8 chatterbait and threw that over and caught one about 2.5 pounds. That gave me 9-11, but not near what we needed to do to make the cut for day 3. Ended up in 76th place. Extremely disappointing. Really glad for Brian Schmidt. He made the top 10. Happy for him there, and David Mullins as well. He made both top 10s in Florida. Good job for David. And that was the extent of my HarrisChain event. If you have any questions or comments, drop them down there. I know I never found any big bedfish during the tournament or in practice, so sorry, but I appreciate everybody's support and look forward to bringing you guys a little bit better report from the Bassmaster Classic, because that's what we've got coming up here very, very soon. So stay tuned. Follow all my social media, on my Twitter, on my Instagram, on my YouTube. Sub it, Facebook. Make sure you're liking it or whatever you want to do to a fan page there. But yeah, make sure you stay tuned, and we'll bring you that one very, very soon. Hopefully we'll have some better results, more like the St. Johns River, so you can learn exactly the winning ways and all the single winning baits. You can see them right here. So don't forget to subscribe or like or whatever you want to do to make sure you follow my social media. But again, thank you guys for watching.